Hey, hi, hello. Sorry I missed last week's uploads. In fact, I think it might have been a couple weeks now at this point. I'm not sure. Time is just a construct for me because I have a lot of stuff going on. It's not been totally fun. My younger brother did get back from boot camp, from training, just recently, so that was a bright spot. But stuff regarding work is real stressful right now, and yeah, that's why I'm not even entirely sure if this one will come out on time, but I will do my best. So, the post that I'm going to read through right now was made on June 10th. I got interested in this story due to a post circulating comparing these two situations. I have 3 points I want to make with this. By the way, this is in regards to Tony Timpa. So, contrasting Tony Timpa and George Floyd. And I'll be linking below the video that I watched in particular and the article that's attached to it. So, these are my 3 points regarding this. These situations are not comparable when it comes to exposure. There is a simple reason why George Floyd's death is national news and Tony Timpa's isn't, and it's not because Floyd is black and the black community is made up of a bunch of whiners. No. It's because George Floyd had a multitude of civilian witnesses who shared that video with the nation. Tony Timpa's death was only ever witnessed by a couple security guards, EMTs, and police. And there's a plane flying in the background? My bad. And the police were the only ones with the video evidence. Even though the local news agencies were alerted by his family members, it took an entire year for them to have enough to even report on. The local government dragged their feet on releasing information about what happened, and in some cases, purposefully withheld the information. Number 2, Tony Timpa's death may not have been a race-related case of police brutality, but it is the result of a systematic prejudice against those who are mentally ill and those who take drugs, sometimes put together, sometimes separate. Timpa was not combative at all by the time the police showed up. There was absolutely no reason for them to switch his cuffs and start tying up his legs by that point. He was restrained and sitting down. The only reason they did so is because this isn't the normal kind of crazy, and because he admitted to being on drugs at the time. Them even using that term right in front of him after he disclosed his mental illnesses to dispatch, that was crass and beyond unprofessional. While I can understand the need to search him after he admitted to being on drugs, their behavior throughout the one-sided interaction shows that they had zero respect for him. I personally feel his mental illnesses played a factor in this, and that's based on how they mocked him. It's pretty common for people with mental illnesses to be treated like they're not really adults by those who are prejudiced, but his drug use definitely played a part in it. While it's understandable to be wary of erratic behavior for both groups, and a part of the job is to search for illegal substances, this type of behavior is about as common in police departments as anti-POC biases, and it's just as unacceptable. Quick side note on the searching for illegal substances that I didn't add to this post. Searching for illegal substances is not the same as just treating someone subhumanly because they are on illegal substances. In most places, it's not actually illegal for you to walk around while high or while on illegal substances. It's illegal for you to drive, certainly, while on illegal substances, but in most areas, most places in America, it is not technically illegal to have consumed illegal substances. It's illegal to have it, it's illegal to drive while under their influence, but it's not actually illegal to be under the influence in the first place. And yet, one very common trend is for cops to just devalue people the moment that they realize or suspect that someone is under the influence. Whether that's illegal substances or not, they do this with drunk people too, but it is especially prevalent for those who are under illegal substances. Number 3, I want to make one thing clear. I am not anti-cop. I have a sibling on the force, and the work he has participated in to help those who are mentally ill while on the job is incredible. I am so very proud of him for sticking with it, especially considering what has happened within our family. His work on the force has helped pave the way for safer and kinder interactions between officers and those who are mentally ill. I trust that nothing like this would ever happen with him or his team with that unit on a call like this. But the fact of the matter is, the nation is behind on initiatives like the one he is on with our local police department. It's my personal opinion that George Floyd and Tony Timpa's cases show that there is a major problem within the police community to support bad cops who kill certain minority groups. In the case of George Floyd, the cop who kneeled on his neck had numerous examples of racial bias on his record that were continuously pushed under the rug. In the case of Tony Timpa, an entire damn city tried to push aside the death of a man who called them for help. Both of these situations are fucking awful and should never have happened. And the only way to prevent them is for the police to stop protecting bad cops and start cultivating good cops with programs similar to what my brother is in, at least when it comes to those with mental health issues. We know, by the way, just adding on to this that I didn't put into the post, but we know, by the way, that mental health crises are more common within people of color groups. They are more common in groups, in areas where there are a large population of people of color. We know that people of color who also have a mental illness or are going through a mental illness crisis, we know that those individuals are much more likely to be treated and to be killed by the police. That higher likelihood does not erase the fact that just having a mental illness, regardless of skin color, increases your likelihood of being victimized by police officers. That's not okay. Final note, police work is a job, an important one, yes, but just like any other job, there are going to be racists there. There are going to be prejudiced people in power who are more concerned with their own agenda than their workers or their customers. There are going to be some branches that are worse than others, but unlike other jobs, they hold their customers, us, the communities, they hold our lives in their hands. I think it's only fair that we should expect proper accountability for that. Right now, we're not always getting it. And also, quick edit that I had added on after I had originally posted this, because I realized other people might think this also needs to be said, and I do think it needs to be said. I want to add that firing good cops who make by-the-book and reasonable decisions for political reasons is just as bad as keeping a bad cop who acts out prejudiced behavior over and over and over again. What I mean by that is that the black-on-black crime that people love to talk about, which we all know, like anyone who's black knows good and damn well that when people talk about black-on-black crime, what they're really saying is gang crime, as if that's the same thing. That's what they're really talking about. Let's be clear there. So the black-on-black crime that people love to discuss, the gang crime that people love to bring up, yeah, that's not the same thing as George Floyd getting killed. Let's be clear there. What I'm saying with that final note, when we have a cop who shoots at a known gang member who has a gun pointed at said cop, and that cop gets fired, that's nothing more than a political choice. That's not okay, I'm saying. Like, those situations are just as bad as not firing bad cops who unjustly profile people of certain races. What happened to Tony Timpa is just as much of a tragedy, in my opinion, as what happened with George Floyd. More than that, it's disgusting how people who just don't want to acknowledge that racism is still deep-seated in this country's governmental systems. It's disgusting how they brought up Tony Timpa's death in order to discredit and devalue the outrage over George Floyd's death. That was disgusting. It absolutely should have been brought up, don't get me wrong, but it should not have been brought up by the people who brought it up. The people who brought it up, who brought Tony Timpa's death to light years and years afterwards, did not bring it up because they were actually outraged by his death, did not bring it up because they genuinely felt bad about Tony Timpa. They brought it up just to make a point. Just to say, hey, it's not just you people. And that's disgusting. It's disgusting. He deserved better. I don't know, I have a lot of feelings about Tony Timpa in general. I think I've shared before that I have a younger sister who has bipolar disorder with psychosis, and when she's going through her manic phases, that's usually when she's more likely to go through psychosis as well. She has a tendency to rely a lot on the systems around us, on hospital systems and on police systems. As I said before, I don't feel as iffy about her wanting to call the police or her goading people to call the police when she's going through one of her episodes, because of the place that we live in. I know that we have a good unit that would take care of her properly. I know that. I feel comfortable saying that. However, I have traveled with her before, and I have, during one of the points in time where she was highly manic, and I was terrified that something would happen where she would goad the police in an area that I didn't know, in an area that is not known for being kind to people of color, let alone mentally ill people of color. That was a terrifying experience. I had a lot of anxiety during that trip, to be honest. It's not okay that police officers treat people of color the way that they treat them. It's not okay that we have a police culture on a national level. There are pockets of good local departments, like my own. But it's not okay that me leaving the city that I'm familiar with makes me anxious. It's not okay that I feel the need to drive at least 3 miles below the speed limit whenever I'm traveling outside of my own state, outside of my own city, because I don't know if the cop that pulls me over is going to treat me respectfully. That's not okay. And it's not okay that I have to worry about my younger sister whenever we travel outside of the state. It's not okay that I feel the need to monitor my younger sister's behaviors and hope and pray that she is not feeling manic when we are traveling outside of the state, because I don't know if her behaving in a way that will come across as erratically, if her behaving that way will get her shot by this other town's police. That's not okay. I don't care if it doesn't affect you because you're not a person of color or you're not mentally ill. I don't care if you don't think that there's an issue because you've never had to deal with it. It is an issue. You burying your head in the sand does not mean it's no longer an issue. Anyway, I got my cat purring at me and meowing at me for attention, so I'm gonna end this here. You guys have a good one, and don't be a jerk.